Hello and welcome to the Jacation Podcast. This is episode 7. Today we will be discussing our short visit to Wilsons Creek National Battlefield. And for our main segment, we'll be talking about our 2020 adventure and our time in Valley of Fire, Lake Mead, in Las Vegas, and Death Valley. Hello and welcome to the show. I am your host, Jacob, and this is my co-host / co-star.
Hey, everyone.
Are you ever going to get used to me saying that?
No, I'd laugh every time. And I'm still like, when you said it was our 7th episode,
Yeah, you looked up, you looked startled.
I thought that was wrong, but whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
You're the one who keeps track. I just follow along.
All right. So I just want to remind you all to subscribe to us on YouTube. We do lots of stuff on there. The show is on there as well, if you want to listen to it.
Yeah, you can only listen. There's no visual.
There's no visual.
You will be thankful.
Just the thumbnail. And then follow us on Instagram at Jacation Adventure, on Twitter at Jacation Travel, and Facebook. And visit our blog, www.jacation.club. We've got lots of new articles coming out about Omaha and St. Louis and, all types of stuff.
All right.
So, well, I may sound a little tired because...
Why is that, Jacob?
Yeah, thank you, Mom.
Tell us why.
The last time we recorded was the day I got my first vaccine, and today I got my second one. So
good job, Jacob.
Yeah, so I may be a little drained.
Yeah, Jacob got Pfizer and I got Johnson & Johnson, and I'm still alive, so I guess we're okay.
Oh God.
Was that off color? I apologize. But there's been a lot of talk about that, and so I overcame the odds.
Oh geez. Okay.
Sorry.
Oh dear. All right. Well,
I'm sorry.
Let's just forget that happened and move on.
Okay.
So let's talk about our recent short little visit to Wilsons Creek National Battlefield.
Okay.
And this is near Springfield, Missouri. Now we were down there to visit your sister.
My sister lives in Springfield, so we were down there visiting her a couple weeks ago, and after we left her house, we drove out to, were we in Republic?
Yes.
Okay. Republic, Missouri, to this little battlefield, or big, I guess, whatever.
Well, speaking of that, it was the first major battle west of the Mississippi of the Civil War. So I'd been there once. You haven't been there.
Right. It was actually quite nice. Today it was 100 and how many ever years ago? 160. Yeah, not so nice.
So this Wilsons Creek National Battlefield is a site protected by the National Park Service. So when you go in there, there's a visitor center. Of course, it was closed for renovations while we were there, but it is a nice visitor center. I've been in there. They've got a good little museum in there that Mom missed out on. I know she's...
Oh yeah, I love a good museum. Why are you laughing?
Anyway, so there's a gift store too. And I got my picture by the sign. So basically this is just a nice enclosed area with a little loop road that kind of shows different sites of parts of the battle where they took place. And it's a one-way road. So it's 5 miles. If you're straight driving through, it wouldn't take you very long at all.
No, we drove and got out at a couple spots though.
Yeah, the first one, oh gosh, I don't remember what it was called, but
I don't know.
It was right along the creek.
Yeah.
And there were several exhibits around the trail, just showing, different places.
like a mill used to be there and
Mhm.
things like that. I don't know. It was a nice little spot. I think it's just even a nice place just to go for like a tiny hike or just like having a little nature day if you're
Yeah.
out. Like I kind of feel like if we lived down there that it would be a place that we would probably go often just to walk. And I mean, because we hadn't really gotten many steps that day. And then when we got out of the car there, I mean, we'd actually, we walked
Quite a ways.
quite a
So.
ways, but not really anything strenuous or, it was just a nice little, I don't know, it's just a pretty pastoral setting. So
I mean,
a nice little visit.
if it was just a park minus the battlefield, it being a historic place, I mean, it would be a nice park.
Oh yeah. I mean, I just think it's just a nice little stopping place. So, yeah, there were some cannons up on this hill and
Yeah, some historic cannons, and they had like a Bloody Hill area
yeah.
where, the last part of the battle took place. This was a Confederate victory, by the way, if anybody's wondering.
No.
The Union was vastly outnumbered, but it was very interesting to go to this little place.
And
And
that's what you learn when you read the plaques.
that's right.
Because I didn't know. I don't even know how long we were there, and I didn't even know that. But that's just because I don't read anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I read books, I read other things. I just when we're at like
A museum thing.
Museum, I'm always just like, what is this? Why? But that's just me. I don't know why. I just something I do or don't do.
Well, it makes me want to visit. This place really made me want to visit more battlefield parks. We've been to Battle of the Little Bighorn.
Oh, that
National
was
Monument.
okay. That was really cool.
We'll talk about that at some point for sure.
Yeah.
But if you're in the area, I would highly recommend visiting this place.
Yeah.
I mean, you learn a little bit of history.
Or not.
About or not.
If you're me.
If you're paying attention.
If you're just there for the little walk.
Yes. But I would recommend it.
Yeah.
For sure. It was a nice park, well maintained.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got all types of historic things there and that's the great thing about the National Park Service is it's not all nature. It's
Right.
also human history.
Mm-hmm.
And, you read about the Civil War in a classroom and textbooks, but it's hard to visualize. But it's places like this that make you see, oh, I get it. Like it makes it seem more real.
Right.
Than in a textbook.
It is kind of creepy to think of all the people
who died there.
Yeah,
it's like we were talking about. It's probably haunted at night.
I know. I was like, oh, I bet this is super creepy at night. So.
Okay, well, should we? Let's get into it, huh?
Okay.
All right. So we're in Springdale, Utah. If you haven't, which is right near Zion National Park, which we did an entire episode on.
Mm-hmm.
So go back and listen to that. That was a fun episode and a fun time that we had there. So we have to drive to Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And there are several things that we wanted to see. So we got up early, packed our bags and continued on our long road trip.
Yes.
So we got to I-15 and remember it kind of, so I-15 kind of cuts the corner, the top, the northwest corner of Arizona.
Right. We were in Arizona for what, like half an hour?
Oh yeah, it wasn't very long, but it was like this really pretty area. It was
like a canyon.
The Virgin River Gorge.
Oh, is that what it
was? Which comes out of Zion, the Virgin River does.
Uh-huh.
And it was like, it was kind of unexpected. It was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
It was really pretty there.
His dad was asleep the whole time. Like he slept the whole time we were in Arizona, which is kind of funny.
Oh yeah.
But we were like, wow, Jacob and I are in the front. We're like, wow, this is really kind of cool.
Uh-huh.
So
then we got off and our first destination was to see Valley of Fire State Park, which is something that I've wanted to see for a long time.
And I had never heard of.
Dad had wanted to see it. He was really excited for this. So
And it's in Nevada.
It's in Nevada, yeah. So we crossed the border again into Nevada now, and it's right by Lake Mead, kind of the northern part of it. So this is the largest state park in Nevada, and it's also the state's first state park. And it's awesome.
Yeah, it was really.
So it's
I don't think I know I've never heard of it.
So it's this big red rock area, but it looks like, it does look like a fire.
Yeah, it's really red.
Yeah.
It's more red than any of the other things. Kind of like, well, no, I don't know. Just it was really more red than any other rock that we've been seeing, I think.
Oh, I think so too. And it took a while to get down there after I-15, but
it did. We drove through some interesting little burgs,
little towns.
Yeah.
So
and honestly, I don't even know where. I probably, if you asked me to find this place on a map, just right now, just, hey, show me where you were, I would be like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know. I'd never been in I'd never been in Nevada before. Well, excuse me, except for Vegas, but that's wrong. I've been to Reno. So anyway, but Nevada is just kind of like nothing but Vegas and Reno. But and then this area.
And Great Basin.
In Great Basin, but we didn't go there either.
So anyway, so you get there, and the first thing we wanted to see was this thing that I saw is called Elephant Rock. And it's kind of like, it's an arch, but it's small. And the arch, like, it kind of makes like
an elephant trunk.
Yeah. And it's just like a big rock behind it. So it would be like the body of the elephant. And it looked really cool. We got out of the car.
This is what's funny.
It was funny.
Because Jacob is all like, I'm going to see this elephant rock. And we saw these signs that said Elephant Rock. And he's just stomping along like, I'm seeing this rock. I'm seeing this rock. Well, he walked right by it.
Well, none of us could find it for a while.
But then you walked even like past it.
Yeah. And then Dad's like, oh, it's up there.
We're like, oh, it's right here. Because it's really not. Once you see it, you're like, oh yeah. But like, you don't, if we hadn't been looking for it or known it was there, we probably would have missed it.
Oh, for sure.
But it was just like, hey, and then we're yelling for Jacob, hey, come back, it's back here.
Yeah, it was really hot that day.
Well, yeah.
This is summer.
Nevada desert.
Yeah. If you want to come,
Valley of Fire.
If you want to come here, don't come during summer. If you're just passing by, it's okay. But
yeah,
if you're just stopping at a few places, but if you really want to stay and
I guess there were like campgrounds there and stuff.
Take a few hours, then I would not come during the summer. Right. But you remember that giant lizard that we saw?
Oh yeah. That was weird.
That was weird. Grandma would have been so freaked out by that.
That's true. But yeah, we did see, and we'd never seen a lizard quite like that, I don't think.
Not outside of a zoo.
Right. Yeah. That was weird.
So then we made our way to the visitor center. This is a nice visitor center, I thought.
Oh yeah.
It was really big.
It was that kind of round building.
Yeah. We had a little gift shop, and I actually got a stamp there, even though it's a state park. But I was like, oh, they have a stamp. Like, why not? I'll get one.
Right.
Of course, it's a different color than the other stamps in the region.
Oh, that's okay.
And larger, which bothers me a little bit, but it's okay. It had a big Bighorn sheep on, which we saw those too, which is kind of weird. They were just out by the road wandering around.
Yeah, I do remember that, because that's something that I never have really seen that much of until we were like in Glacier. We saw some, right?
Yeah, and it was weird seeing them, because that's a totally different environment. Glacier National Park is Valley of Fire.
Right.
So it was kind of like, okay, like it was a
Yeah.
little weird
You
seeing
don't
them.
really expect wildlife in there.
Yeah.
But there was. Yeah.
So the other thing that I wanted to do, because again, the theme with this trip is limited time, was
Mhm.
drive the Mouse's Tank Road, which is really cool. So basically, it's very um windy, goes up and down, left, right, but through all this rock. And if you there's this point at the beginning of the road where if you get out, and or even if you're on the road, where you can see it like winding around through this rock,
Yeah.
which is a very Instagram picture.
Uh-huh.
That was really cool to see.
Yeah. We'll have to add some pictures to our YouTube or wherever you put the pictures. Right.
Yeah. We'll have pictures for sure. And Jacation, the Instagram has a few from there
right.
that
Yes.
you should see. So if you want to go see that, follow us on there. So anyway, we drove this road in its entirety. It's not very long.
No.
Got out at a couple places, took some pictures. Now there are a few trails along this road that we didn't do, but they have petroglyphs there, which are like writings from ancient people basically who lived in the area, which would be really cool to see.
Well, at one point, weren't the rocks like there were some like white rocks?
Yeah,
too?
once you got past like the really windy section.
Uh-huh.
And I encourage you all to look this up and at our Instagram, because I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It's really cool.
Yeah.
But the Valley of Fire is definitely a good name for it. That kind of,
Yes.
it's not the best tourism name. Like, oh, come visit the Valley of Fire. Like, oh, that sounds pleasant.
All right. But it was a neat little place. And we weren't in there for that long, but I feel like we saw, most of it.
We saw
I
a
mean,
good chunk.
from the things you can see from the road. I
Yes.
mean, we were really in no position to be.
It was too hot.
It was way too hot walking or doing any sort of.
So we'd love to visit again when it's not so hot.
Or yeah, I mean, so just not. So some off-season time would probably be a good time to go there.
So, okay, here's where I screwed up, because you can get back to I-15, but I thought you'd want to take the scenic route because you would get to see Lake Mead.
Oh my gosh, are you saying this was a mistake?
Yes, I've told you that.
Oh my goodness.
I've been like, I thought you could see Lake Mead from this road that goes alongside, but you can't.
Oh, and we were on this road
Forever.
Ever.
And there is nothing. I mean, there are no signs.
No.
There is nothing. It's just like, is this ever going to end? And
Yeah.
then finally you get a glimpse of Vegas and you're like, okay, at least we're almost there.
Yeah, kind of. That was just a long day.
That was, yeah. And Ben wasn't feeling well.
Yeah, Ben didn't feel well, and we pulled over a few times, and I don't know if he threw up.
Oh, he threw up and immediately felt better.
Yeah, but it was just, and I mean, yeah, it was just so here we are just driving along and seeing that there's like a few signs here and there, like
for beaches
at Lake Mead and this access and all this stuff, but we really barely saw it.
And there's a light, yeah, very briefly,
yeah,
maybe for a minute. And this is a totally barren land. Like it's pretty, but like it gets old quickly.
It got really old. And when you've got, someone in your party is sick and you can't see what you think you're going to see, and you really honestly have no idea where you are.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was just so.
And this is all through Lake Mead National Recreation Area.
Yeah, but you would never know it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you wouldn't know there's a lake behind.
No, I mean, I guess every so often we would be like, oh, there it is, and then it would go away.
Yeah.
And Lake Mead's massive.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, all right, we're gonna see this. And we had all these plans that we were gonna do all this stuff. And that didn't really, with that, it did not occur.
So let's talk about that because
What didn't occur?
we wanted to go see the Hoover Dam.
Right.
Because it's amazing and it's what made Lake Mead after all. And because of COVID, they weren't letting you go down to see it.
Right.
And you can't see it from the bridge.
Yeah. So Lake Mead, it's like you can, or I'm sorry, the Hoover Dam, you can go and you can drive over the dam. So I understood sort of, I guess, why you couldn't drive over that during COVID, because you really couldn't get out and do the dam tour and all that. But then there's the other thing where you can drive over this other bridge where you're like looking at.
And there's a parking lot where you can overlook.
Right. So you could get out and see all this. Well, all of this business is closed because of COVID.
Yeah. And it was, I mean, allegedly for security, which I'm sure it is because this supplies power to millions of people.
Right.
And we could tell we were getting close to the dam because I noticed all the power lines like converging. It's like, oh, here it comes,
But so we do a lot of planning for these vacations, and I probably looked every single day.
Oh, you did. It was like every day it became part of our morning routine to look.
Let's see if Hoover Dam is open yet. Let's see if Hoover Dam is open yet. And I was really kind of like afraid to cancel our hotel reservation, thinking, we're going to get there and it's going to be open and everything's going to be great. So instead of reserving like a room in Vegas, I reserved a room in the lovely, lovely town. What was that place called? Boulder City. I was just like, suddenly, I want to erase it from my mind because it was that bad. But anyway, Boulder City, Nevada.
If anybody's listening in Boulder City, we mean no offense. I
don't know.
Okay.
I just was like,
I'm not trying to be mean, but somebody else might be.
I'm sorry. Not sorry. So this whole vacation, I'm still like, even when we're on vacation, I'm like checking, okay.
Now we didn't miss it by like a day though.
No, that is true. Because if
it did open like 2 months after we were there. So
months.
that was okay.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't like, we're driving to Death Valley and we get a notification, Hoover Dam is open. Right. No.
So we spent the night in Boulder City, Nevada. God help me. What? So
we got out of Lake Mead and
which was not even, we named, didn't you say in this episode we were going to discuss Lake Mead? We aren't, because we didn't see, we saw it.
That's true.
From afar. We didn't get in it or anything. We saw it from a few vantage points. Let me just say, I went to this hotel in Boulder City and I went in and I checked in and they almost seemed surprised that someone was checking in there. And I said,
yeah, they were startled.
I know. I said, yeah. So the reason I'm here is because I wanted to see the Hoover Dam. And they were like, oh, well, you could drive over that bridge. And I'm like, no. And so there's two people working at the desk. And the guy said, or one of them said something, oh, we'll drive over the bridge. And the other one said, oh, no, the bridge is closed too. The girl said, the bridge is closed too. And then the guy said, well, where are all the people going to commit suicide? And I thought, that is the weirdest thing, way of greeting a guest.
The bridge is not closed, by the way. It's I-11 and it's it's kind of important. So it isn't closed, but the walking part of it is.
Okay. Well, and I guess you could drive over some sort of bridge, but you can't, the walls are so high you can't see. Anyway.
Well, it's that same bridge.
There was no Jacation seeing the Hoover Dam, let's just say.
And that would have been, and you all missed out because there would have been some great Jacation pictures on our Instagram.
I'm so mad.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we didn't see that. We stayed in this place.
the Best Western.
Yeah.
You want to talk about it?
I don't know. That's another thing. Like, I hate giving a place a bad review, but this was just, yeah, it was a Best Western. And I'm not really a Best Western person normally. And this was, but okay, on the
The
site,
pool is nice. We did
Yeah.
a good pool.
yeah, the website made it look like it was like all by itself, and I was like, oh, well, that's kind of neat. I don't know. It just made it look, and then when you get there, you're like, how in the world did they take that picture? Like, I have no
Yeah.
idea how they did that, except for like making some green screen behind the hotel, make it look like it was kind of in the middle of the little town, and
I was just
it
well,
was
the
just,
traffic in that town was bad too.
yeah, and it was just an old place, like a motel kind of deal with the doors on the outside, no hallways, that kind of stuff. That's just not really my scene, but
Yeah.
we were just sleeping there basically.
Well, yeah. And I wanted to get a stamp for Lake Mead. You remember this? And the visitor
yeah.
center was closed, but I did get a park map, which I
Yeah.
like to collect those.
Yeah.
And then we went to that visitor center that was in Boulder City, and that was closed too.
Everything was closed.
So Lake Mead, I tried.
Yeah, and I wanted to see the Hoover Dam real bad, but that didn't happen either. But anyway, so that night we did. How far are we from Vegas? Like 20 or 30 minutes?
It wasn't that bad.
So we drove up to Vegas that night, and the kids had never been there. I was the only one who had been there.
Yeah.
So I love Vegas. I think it's hilarious. I mean,
it was cool to see.
Yeah, it's just a hoot.
So we ate at Ben's
In-N-
first In-N-Out.
Yeah, Ben is like obsessed with In-N-Out. He'd never been to one, but he was obsessed, and we were laughing because we're like, we hope you like this In-N-Out, Ben.
We should have had him on here to talk about this.
Yeah.
He would have raved.
Yeah. So we went to the In-N-Out that's just off the strip, like on Tropicana or something. I don't know. Anyway, it was like a block over. There is an In-N-Out on the strip, but we didn't go to that one. I think it's in like a strip mall. And this was like a freestanding, like what you think of as an In-N-Out. So we ate there.
Yeah.
And then we drove down the strip into like downtown and like through the Fremont Street experience, like not obviously on Fremont Street, but just
you wanted to show us that.
And Vegas is interesting.
Yeah,
it's also really hot, and the thermometer on the car read that it was 117.
I think so.
Yeah, so I mean, that is
20.
No, I think it was 17.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it was really hot. Then we decided we would see the Bellagio.
That's what we really wanted to see. Yeah.
So the last time I was in Vegas was a really long time ago, and they were just building the Bellagio. So if that tells you how long that's been, it was like late 90s, probably like 97 or 8 was the last time I was there. So we parked across the street at a mall.
The Planet Hollywood.
Yeah, Planet Hollywood Mall or something like that. It was in the back of, I don't even know, like Paris or something. I honestly don't know where we were. But anyway, we parked, we walked through the mall, we came out, we walked across the street to.
Well, and what's nice is they've got all those bridges that you don't have to worry about traffic. That was awesome.
Yeah. So we walked over, saw the Bellagio fountains.
That was really cool.
Yeah, it was.
And then there was those two women.
Oh, they had some like knockoff showgirls that were like taking pictures with people for money, which was funny. There's always stuff like that in Vegas that's just hysterical.
Yeah.
And so really all we did was like,
it was pretty lame.
Yeah, we didn't do a whole lot of anything. We saw and it was hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was evening turning into night, and it was still really, really hot. But I'm like a dry heat person. Like
I wasn't bothered by it.
Yeah, but it was quite warm. So the mask mandate was still on. So that's kind of also hot when you're like wearing a mask in the heat and all that. So we did that. the lights were, I mean, it was starting to get dark. It was dusk time. So we could, get the gist of
It was really
stuff.
cool. So we drove down the strip to leave.
Back down the strip. And then
we went to the sign. Now I want to say something to all. If you want to see the sign,
oh yes.
this that's
So welcome
on
to fabulous Las
welcome
Vegas
to
sign.
the famous sign. You have to be going south.
Mhm.
Now because I look at Google Maps and satellite view, I mean, I basically had this entire vacation memorized of where everything was.
Yes. Thankfully, Jacob knew this. Honestly, in all the times I've been to Vegas, I've never seen this sign.
Yeah, so right across from the runways at McCarran International Airport. So there's only one way to get to the parking lot to specifically stop at the sign. And you have to be going south, and it's in the middle of the road, so you have to be in the right lane to get into this parking lot.
Oh, I thought you had to be in the left lane.
No, because it was in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Between.
Okay.
So if you're heading south and it's.
Oh.
You
okay.
want to be in the right lane.
I never know what direction I am in Vegas. That's another thing.
So that was, if I hadn't noticed that in Street View, that, oh, there's only one way into this, we probably would have missed it and just given up.
Right.
So just keep that in mind if you want to do that. So we got out. Dad was enjoying looking at all the crazy cars.
Yeah, there were some interesting, like Ferraris and stuff,
Yeah, which was cool to see.
Yeah.
So you and I got out and we got our picture by the sign, and there was this massive line.
Yeah, there's like this pad of like AstroTurf that you can stand on in front of the sign. And there's this massive line to stand on this little pad of AstroTurf, or you can just be over to the side a little bit, like Jacob and I were,
and get the same
picture. Yeah.
So and just be out of the way of the pictures. So it's like we weren't cutting in line.
No.
We were out of the way, and we didn't have to wait for half an hour.
Right.
So we were in and out of there. So if that, do that. You don't have to stand right in front of the thing. Go off to the side a little bit. It's fine.
Right. You can't even see, like, it looks like we're the only people there.
Yeah, it does.
So
like the hotel. That's the only thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's how they did it.
That's how they did it. They were just off to the side a little bit.
So we left. We drove back to Boulder City. But that's all right. We just slept there, and I think the next morning they gave us like lots of extra, like take packages of.
They were desperate to get rid of it.
They were like, "Oh, here, people are staying here," and we were like, "All right, finally something good." So, yeah. Then
we woke up, and it's like, I think we slept pretty well because we were tired.
Yeah, we were tired because that day before had been a real kick in the pants.
Okay, so the next day we woke up, and we have a long drive ahead of us.
Again,
a long, perilous.
Who only knew how long.
I was afraid to tell you of how long it would be. So, but we would get to go through a national park, which was exciting.
For you. Let me just.
This vacation was catered for me.
It was. And I hope that I don't sound like I'm complaining, because I'm really, sometimes I am, but really for the most part, I'm not, because it is always an adventure. So the next day we drove to the world famous Death Valley.
I was so excited to see this. Oh, I was so giddy.
And I can just tell you that I have never in my life thought, gee, I would really like to go to Death Valley. I mean, ever. It never occurred to me. It never seemed like something I would ever want to do. And yet here I am.
We're
driving my car in Death Valley.
Well, that's where they test cars to make sure they work.
Well, yeah.
And ours did, thankfully.
Yeah, thankfully, I didn't know for a while. But anyway.
Okay,
so is super psyched.
We took we were heading for Death Valley. We crossed into California. And this is a long drive.
I
It's
thought
pretty.
we were in Nevada for part of the time, weren't we? I mean,
Yeah, we
wasn't
were,
part of
but
Death Valley in Nevada?
yeah, but not the part we were in.
Oh, okay.
So we crossed into California, and that was kind of a boring drive. All I
Yeah.
remember is Pahrump, or what was that?
Oh
What it
yeah,
was?
yeah. There
And
was a
it
little
took
town
forever to
called
get through that
Pahrump.
town. We're like, what?
Yeah, it
What
was
did
a
you
real-
keep saying when we were driving through there? You said something. I don't remember what it was.
Well, right now I'm thinking like that little drummer boy song.
Oh, that's what it was.
They told me pum. I probably said that like
You kept singing that as we were going.
well, Pahrump was like one really long town. Like if you just took a really long road and made a town like all along
On
it,
the road.
I was just like, can we get away
out
from
of here?
Yeah, so you're driving, you're like driving for like 10 miles, but there's like stores all along and stuff, like town stuff all along this. It was just very strange.
And I think
to me.
that was on the Nevada side. But anyway, so then we stopped and we made it to the sign.
Yeah, that's like the most hopeful of all my pictures from Death Valley. I actually look like I'm excited to be there at that point, I think, because I was like, oh wow, this is cool. I know Jacob gets so mad at me when I talk about Death Valley, but I'm telling you what, yuck. All right.
Well, I'll have to try it again with you when it's not
Please
when
stop
it's
saying that.
When it's cooler.
I don't know. All right.
All right, fine, whatever. You don't want to see the moving rocks? No, that's Dad's thing. Anyway.
I do, but it sounds hard.
Okay.
All right.
So took our pictures by the sign, walked around a little bit, and you're going down. It's like,
yeah, you are
and
going
you keep
down
going
into
down.
Oh, okay. No. Okay, now I'm remembering. The first part of this was okay.
Yeah.
It was.
So, and we stopped at Zabriskie Point.
Right.
Now, this is awesome.
Yeah. So it's cool for reasons that you find cool. What's your reason?
Well, my reason is, and they filmed a lot of Star Wars in Death Valley, like the Tatooine shots, in Tunisia too. But if you watch the first episode of The Mandalorian, when Mando's landing on Tatooine, there's the shot of the Razor Crest going across, and there's like this weird Badlands looking area, and that is in Death Valley, and that is in Zabriskie Point. So I was showing them all the night before. I'm like, look, this is what we're gonna see. It's in The Mandalorian. And it's like, oh, okay,
And the other thing is that you two shot the cover of the Joshua Tree. Not in Joshua Tree National Park yet.
Nope.
In Death Valley.
In Death Valley at Zabriskie Point.
So I was like, this is awesome. Like you two has been here, and Jacob's like, this is awesome.
The Mandalorian
was filmed here. So I'm sure there's other stuff, but that was kind of so we were there.
That Joshua Tree they took the picture in front of like died. I don't remember where it was. It may have been in Death Valley too, but
oh, okay.
Anyway, so it was really cool to see this, because it's like, you see it in pictures, the Joshua Tree album, and you two, like you said, in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, but I had no idea about the U2 thing until we were there.
And it was such a spectacular, it was a really cool vista point, don't you think?
Yeah, it was. So yes, at this point, I think I'm still like, oh, Death Valley, it's fun.
Yeah. So it's like a Badlands looking thing, but they're not as rough as like the South Dakota Badlands. It's more smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Again, pictures on Jacation of this. Really cool. And kind of looking west, you can see down into like the white salt bed of Death Valley. So we went there. After that, we went back to the car, and you kind of got to walk up that hill a little bit to get there. It's kind of a steep climb.
And it was, again, hot.
It was hot, and it's paved, so that makes it easier. So we got back in the car, and we headed down and down and down.
Oh, yeah.
until we got into the valley. And then there's this really cool sign that says elevation sea level. So Death Valley is partly faint. Well, I'll tell you just what it's all famous for. Hot, dry, and low. It's hot. It has the highest ambient temperature ever recorded, 134 degrees. And my friend was actually visiting there a few months after we did, and it's like Death Valley set to
Oh yeah.
and I was like, oh my gosh, you're going there. And she's just like, oh no. Like I don't remember if they passed the record or not, but it's like, I mean, that would have been a cool story that I was there when the highest ambient temperature was recorded.
Right.
So it's hot, it's dry, it gets very, very little rain or precipitation. And it's low. It is the lowest point in North America.
I mean, there is
the lowest point, and it has it's 238 feet below sea level at Badwater Basin.
238?
I think that's what it was.
I thought it was like 282.
Oh, maybe. Okay, let me look
it
up.
I was like, wait a minute, because so Jacob got this shirt that says like,
oh, you may be right. I think it is.
Hold on. I don't think that's
almost there.
Oh.
282.
282. Okay. So, because Jacob got a shirt in the gifts at the gift shop that said like, what does it say? Like Death Valley negative
283 feet.
282 feet.
Yes. So you see those shirts like Pikes Peak 14,410 or whatever it is. It's like mine is a negative value. So I had, thanks, Mom. So yes, I did have to get that. And I enjoy that shirt. It's my running shirt. I wear it a lot.
Yeah. So we drove down to
Badwater Basin,
which that's the low point. We got some pictures there, and it's like a salt flat.
Yeah, it is. And you can go out as far as you want.
Oh yeah, I guess
you can just kind of wander out there. And it had a cool exhibit of
I thought you weren't supposed to step on that salt.
No, there's like there's like a little path that's flat that you can walk out onto.
Okay.
The reason it's called Badwater Basin is because some party on the Oregon Trail was like, oh, we'll take this way. It's like a shortcut, or maybe I don't remember where they were going, but they're going somewhere. And they're like, oh, we'll go through here. And it's like, there's no water. It's the Mojave Desert. There's nothing, but there is water because this is the lowest point. It collects at that. But because it's on top of a salt flat, their horses tried to drink it and they couldn't because it's twice as salty as the ocean.
Oh, okay.
So Badwater Basin. There you go. And there is some cool exhibits of the other lowest points in America, or I mean around the world. It's like the Dead Sea and other things, which that was kind of cool to read. And then
didn't read it.
You and Ben went to the lowest bathroom on the surface of North America.
Dad and Ben did.
Yeah,
I don't think. Yeah, because they were like, Dad gets out of the bathroom. Whoop! Just went to the bathroom in the lowest bathroom, because
where's it supposed to go? Let's go up.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm sure it was just a hole. But anyway, that was a really cool spot. And if you look carefully in the mountain above, you can see there's like this big wooden placard thing that says sea level. So you can tell how low you are compared to that.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't see that either.
Oh, well.
There you go. Imagine this.
So we went back up. And again, limited time. So there's many, many things in Death Valley that I would like to do in the wintertime when it's nice and
what, 80?
Yeah, like 70s. So we went to the Furnace Creek Visitor Center. Isn't that a great name? Furnace Creek.
It was a furnace. That's true.
And there's that cool hotel, that weird oasis thing. That was funny.
Yeah, there was this Oasis Hotel thing that was going through.
So we get to the visitor center and there's like
A giant thermometer.
yeah, well, there's the overhangs over the parking spots because it gets so hot there that they put these big things that so you can park in the shade.
Yeah.
So
since there's no other shade.
Since your car isn't like 200 degrees when you get back into it. So we parked under there and nobody was there because nobody's stupid enough to go during the summertime, but we are.
By the time we got there, I mean, it was like, this is one of those, go to Death Valley, in the early morning or the evening. Well, we couldn't do that if we were going to keep on our little path. So it was, midday when we're in Death Valley.
Yeah, it was still morning, but
not the morning they're talking about.
No. So we went in and I got my stamps. The actual visitor center was closed, but the gift shop was open. And that's where I purchased
your t-shirt.
My shirt. I thought I had it on. I have a gray shirt on right now, but I was like, oh, that'd have been funny.
Yeah.
It was a nice little store.
Yeah. And then outside of it is this giant thermometer that has the current temperature.
And it was 117.
It was 114 when we went in.
And then it was 117 when we came out.
Oh, I have a picture where it was 115.
Oh.
Anyway, it was hot. And it was just climbing as we were even in the place. So in the little visitor center.
Yeah, so you got to take your picture by the famous thermometer because that's kind of just a Death Valley staple.
Right. For
sure. And that was pretty much our time. Now I know
this is where it starts to go downhill for me. Like these things that we did here.
Well, uphill and downhill. Lots of that.
No, yes. But I mean, like, I think by this point, the novelty of being in Death Valley has worn off.
So I know there's lots of other things in Death Valley that we did not go to because we didn't have time. There's the Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes, Devil's Golf Course or something like that, and Artist Drive, Scotty's Castle, the racetrack with the moving rocks. All types of things that I will.
And Death Valley's massive.
It is. It's the largest park in the lower 48. It's bigger than Yellowstone.
Okay.
So,
but there's a road that the reason we basically just drove the road that goes through it.
Yeah.
Like we were just driving through, seeing what we could see, but we were just basically utilizing that road to cross it.
Oh, and I want to mention this because this is kind of cool. Back to Water Basin. It's only 63 miles from Mount Whitney, which is at the back of Sequoia National Park, which is the highest point in the lower 48, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, of how much that grows.
Right.
And the highest peak in Death Valley, Telescope Peak, is over 11,000. So it's a really interesting geological area. Okay, so now it's time to leave. This was the hardest exit of a national park. So you start to leave on 190 West, and it's like you go up like 4,000 feet, and I'm not even kidding. And it's like, there's that sign that said, do you remember this? Turn your air conditioner off.
Yes, I do remember this because I was like,
so what? We turned it like to low.
Yeah.
Because this is a stressful area for a car to get through. I don't care what it is. This is one of the harshest environments on the planet.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, because you're going up and down thousands of feet and steep grades. So you get over this and you go into this other and you start to go down, and it was like, oh my goodness, like it was hard to keep control. Like it was nerve-wracking, and you did an awesome job with it, but we had to wait for like a flat area to go into like a lower gear. because it
I
was
just
so
wanted
steep.
all I know is that I wanted to get out of there. Like, and there just seemed to be no end in sight. It was just punishing.
And then there's that big flat area, and then you could see the road going up another range, and then there's that little shop there. I didn't go in there. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, right. Did we have to get gas?
I think so.
I think we got gas at this like skeevy little place that is like in a national park, so you'd think it would be like okay, but
that it would be on a government lease.
It was horrendous. And we went in there, and the guy who was working was this like total stoner, and I don't know, it was just a very creepy little situation. We had to go to the bathroom, we got gas, and then I think that we knew there was ice cream, or I don't know if we got ice cream. I know I got a Coke in there, but anyway, it was just this weirdest little, like,
I think I had read about it before, like, oh, it's kind of weird, so I think I didn't want to go in there.
So I remember we did get Cokes, because that leads to like after that when we were dry. So wasn't that the same day where we stopped like 3 different times and tried to go to the bathroom? And
Oh gosh, yeah, we'll have to get to that because that's funny too.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna go all the way to Sequoia and Kings on this.
Yes, so we're almost out of the park, I think, by the time
we're getting there. You got to go up that range again, and then we stopped at that Father Crowley Visitor Center or viewpoint.
Oh yeah.
And they actually fly because Area 51 and like Air Force bases are nearby. So they fly like jets through there. And we didn't see one while we were there, but I've seen videos of
that would have been awesome.
Fighters flying through there.
That would be super awesome.
Yeah. So that would have been cool. We didn't see anything that day, but
yeah.
So then we got out of the park, and we're in this and you can start to see the Sierra a little bit. So you can see Mount Whitney, which that was kind of cool because that's the backside of Sequoia National Park where we would be the next day. But the Sierra is not like the Rockies. There are not roads like crossing it.
Right. It's like you have to go around.
Yeah, basically. So to the north, the next road to get over is Yosemite.
But
to the south was
where we were headed. We're on this road, and we're actually seeing signs for like LA.
Yes.
Like we're not even really like that far.
No, we were not.
Which was weird to me, because I was like, what? Like, this can't be right. But it was like we had to go like all the way around this mountain range basically to get to something that was like, as the crow flies, like straight west.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, we had to just go around, like you said,
right. So we're headed from Death Valley to the Sequoia Kings Canyon area. So we're headed to this little town of Three Rivers, California, but just the getting there was the rough part.
And what the funny thing is, it's like we could see Sequoia National Park basically from where we were. It's like we just got to get there and we got to go around. So we had to go on this other pass, which we saw a lot of Joshua trees.
Yeah,
which was cool. They grow outside of Joshua Tree National Park. So but then you had to go to the bathroom.
Yes. So we did get drinks at that place where that weird person was working, and the whole place was strange. But so then I'm like, okay, I have to go to the bathroom, and my husband's like, yeah. So we start trying to look so we're just like in the middle of really, it was prettier. It was more like mountainous and kind of, we were out of, and more lush. We were like out of the red rock.
Well, yeah, it's basically the Sierra that creates the Mojave Desert because the rain and the clouds can't get over. So
of course, you have to know that. I'm just saying I have to pee, and there is no place to pee. So we stopped in these little bitty towns. I should look at an atlas and see if I can remember what they were. But we stopped, and there's like no bathrooms or like any gas stations or anything. I was glad that we had that we had plenty of gas. And I went in one place. I even tried to go in like a post office.
Yeah, it was like a U.S. post office.
Yeah, and I was just like, surely I can go in there. And then there's like one person working there who didn't look like they actually worked for the postal service, or just some random. And he's like, no, and then we found some other places. Then we went in this thing that looked like kind of a gift shop.
Onyx, that's what it
was. Oh yes, Onyx.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're Onyx, California. There's like this like gift shop looking place. And so Martin and I got out and went in there, and this is height of COVID, and like nobody in there is wearing a mask.
And you're in California.
Yeah, we're in California where it's like super mandated. And there are these people just like, all these people were pulling up and going like into the.
Oh, sorry. We're just seeing a deer outside our window.
Oh, I don't see it. So there were all these people like flocking to the back of this place and buying something that we couldn't figure out what it was. So I don't know what that was all about. But
didn't it smell like weed in there?
Well, yeah, it did.
So
then we went outside, and then Martin like peed in the parking lot over in these bushes. And I was like, oh, I hate you right now, because I really wanted to, but I couldn't.
Oh, that's right. He just stood in front of the car and like faced the other way and peed into the bush.
And I was like, oh! And so then we drove on, and finally we came to a gas station. And then what was funny is that I walked into this gas station, went beeline to the bathroom, but on the way there I saw this brush. Martin like shaves his head, so he has this like weird little brush that he uses, and the handle had broken off of it. And as I was walking to the bathroom there, I saw one, and then I was like, went to the bathroom, came out, and then I was like, look what I found. And I had bought another like one of his little head brush things, and I'm like, look. And it was just funny that of all places that we see this, that's where I find one of these. I'm trying to talk, and Jacob's trying to point out the window that there's like a deer.
To Ben, he just got back.
Oh, so anyway, I found Martin a brush there, so that was kind of fun.
Yeah. We had all.
Oh, is this the day that we went to the Mexican place?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So we're.
Oh man, we're starting to get hungry.
We're just a mess. So okay, so we keep going,
right?
And we're doing better. Like we're all in this together, and we're gonna get through it. So we passed by Isabella Lake.
Oh yeah,
which is kind of pretty, and it kind of like became a little more civilized.
Yeah, it did.
And it was this really
where were we going? Oh, Bakersfield.
It was this really windy road. And then so. I don't know how long it was, but we are all getting hungry.
So like I started about where we're gonna eat, and we all love Mexican food.
Yeah,
and we're like, we're gonna eat some Mexican. Yeah,
we're gonna get to. So I start looking up. I'm laughing.
Start Googling Mexican food
in Bakersfield, California. So we finally get out of I remember bits and pieces of this, but I was just so like ready for something to eat,
right?
That I was just blinded by that. So we get there, and then we get in some classic California traffic.
Oh yeah, it was bad.
It was bad getting out of there.
Yeah,
it wasn't as bad going in. But I looked up this place, and I'm like, oh, it looks really good. And we're like, okay, let's do that. So we finally get there.
Oh my gosh. That's so hilarious.
And so there's this like abandoned building
right
in this parking lot, and everybody's yelling at me, and it's like, Jacob, how could you do this? And blah blah blah.
Yes.
We're all so hungry, and I'm like, oh wait, I see it over there.
Well, right. So yeah, where the Google Maps like said to turn, we turned, and then we were in this abandoned place. But then we were like, oh my gosh, this restaurant closed. And then we see over across.
And we're like, oh, there it is. Well, but there's a problem. There is a curb in our way.
Right. And if we would have gotten back out on the main road, we would have had to turn left into all this traffic and then turn left again.
And we were so hangry, we were not having that.
No. So my husband, who loves to off-road and do all this crazy stuff, he says to me, and we have an SUV, but it's a Honda Pilot. So it's not like this huge, it's not like a Jeep or something. So he starts saying, he's like, you can get over there. Well, and I'm like, well, I don't want to drive on that curb. And he's like, you're gonna drive over
We're gonna
it.
drive over it.
And then he's like going one wheel at a time.
One wheel at a time. So it was like, ooh, you know, we
like go over, like drive over this curb
and this
up
little
onto
grassy
this little
area
median, down like into a Starbucks drive-through basically, and that person was staring at us. And then we finally got out and we parked, and then we went to this Mexican place. But
and it was the best food ever.
We don't even know if it was. We have a lot of these situations. I think we've said this before. Like, was that food even all that good, or we didn't even care? But we were in California and we were having some Mexican food, and it was pretty good. And it was again during COVID, so we had to eat outside, and they had these like folding tables set up
outside
on the outside, and that was like where we ate, and it was really good.
Don Perico Mexican restaurant. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but I looked it up.
Oh, okay. So we ate, and we felt much better.
We did feel much better.
We felt better after that.
So then it was like, okay, we got to head up to Three Rivers.
Right.
So we got on the highway.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of.
It took us forever to get out of there, and then Google Maps was like, we found a faster route because it's always trying to get you around traffic jams. So we were like driving through these Bakersfield neighborhoods, which was kind of interesting to see.
But we did. We got out there and we got on to our next place, and it was.
So we were passing by. Well, the agriculture through there was really interesting.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh!
And we were near McFarland,
right? So,
which I'm a run cross country. I've actually never seen the movie. But
I can't
you guys
believe you've never seen McFarland USA. If you haven't seen it, it's so good. And we even passed the sign for McFarland, which it's the best I mean, not that there's cross country movies, but it's really, really good.
So, you know,
it
was interesting because it's, you know, very good team too.
Right.
Those in California.
We would see we saw like vineyards. We'd see like some places with like cute, like growing like cuties, like the little oranges, and we'd see some, I don't even remember. We saw just all this randomness.
It was interesting.
That we're like, wow, you don't see that in Missouri. But
so we finally pass this other little lake, and we finally make it to Three Rivers, which is at the base of Sequoia National Park and Kings Canyon, which we will get to on another episode.
Yes.
So that kind of concludes our 2-day stretch of desert, the Mojave Desert section.
Very hot.
It was fun.
No,
I'd like to go back to certain
that, but you can.
I will go back to certain parts.
Okay.
Because I mean, this was basically an overview. You know, it wasn't a detailed. You know, I could spend a week in Death Valley probably.
Yeah, you could, I guess.
But it was good to just see these places, and you know, I look forward to seeing them again.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
And I'm looking forward to talking about Sequoia Kings.
Yeah.
Because I love these parks.
Yes.
They're awesome.
They look great.
So that's it for us. We hope you enjoyed our episode. Seems like it's been forever since we recorded, but it's actually the normal time. So have a great rest of your day. Go out and see the world. All right. Bye.
Bye.